So season 4 of The Resident is coming out and it's during a pandemic. What was it like filming during these crazy times?
Yeah, we're incredibly grateful to be able to work. We realize there are so many people out there who would love to work and are unable to do so. We know that there are people out there who are suffering, and we're able to work because of these extreme protocols we have on set, mask wearing, testing 3 times a week, face shields, so forth and so on. And our hope is that by doing this, and our company, as I mentioned, is incredibly grateful. Our production company is incredibly grateful we're working. Our hope is that we can give back a little bit by some sort of cathartic release with our show, and some joyful aspects and some hopeful aspects. At the end of episode 1, we're in a post-COVID world, so hopefully we get a peek into what things might be like after we all make it through to the other side. So we're hopeful that this work can inspire others, and give people a little bit of an escape. That's how we pay it forward.
Yeah, definitely. And so with it being a medical show, I'm sure you had plenty of content to use with COVID. So we'll see the pandemic play out on the show.
We, in the first episode, we start with the pandemic when it's at its height. By the end of episode 1, we're in a post COVID world. But how we address COVID further is it's always a presence throughout season 4. COVID is always a presence throughout. And we kind of deal with it in terms of what are the emotional impacts that it has on the characters. How does this change specific relationships and storylines with our characters because of the impact of COVID? And we have, episode 1, the beginning, where we're in COVID. There's a lot of loss that happens, and then we finish at the end of episode 1 with a new beginning with these 2 characters, Conrad and Nick, getting married. So that's our new beginning and the hopeful aspect. So we're trying to find that balance throughout the course of season 4, where COVID is always a presence, but we're trying to find unique ways to say that, okay, it's going to affect us moving forward in a variety of ways, in a very ways that people might not be thinking about quite yet. So I think that we're attacking it from a perspective that's quite interesting, quite powerful, and again, like I said, hopefully cathartic and joyful at the same time.
Definitely. So for frontline workers, I know that this has, bonded them in a new way. Just even like working on a set like this and with your team, has this kind of bonded you in a new way? Are you like now closer than ever?
It's important to know that we have frontline workers who are writers. We have frontline workers who are medical advisors. One of the medical advisors, we stayed in touch over the course of last year. She was in Texas. She was in New York at the height of everything. So hearing those stories and those connections of frontline workers who are risking their own lives for people they've never met before, they're saving lives, and they've experienced so much loss, that will change you, and it will change you in terms of the connections you have with the individuals, and it'll change you hopefully for your own life as part of a reflection. So that's an important part of this show. It always has been. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this was starting in 2017 was because of frontline workers, and also to shed light on the system as a whole, whether it be the frontline workers and the positives of that, or some of the inequities in the system, which are things that we're experiencing on a global scale at this particular point. We've been bringing light to that since 2017, but I think now more than ever, this show is more relevant and in the zeitgeist because we're all feeling these questions of health. They're interconnecting us all, and that's deeply important.
Definitely. So changing to a much brighter side of everything. So we ended with a proposal. Will we get to finally see this wedding in season 4?
Yeah, we saw the proposal in, I think, episode 16 of season 3, and at the end of episode 1, season 4, you're getting that wedding. You're
Very
getting that wedding. That wedding happens in a post COVID world, so that's our new beginning. and hopefully it's a symbol and an example of things moving forward for all of us, as we get through these traumatic events that will change us forever. But there's also these joyful new beginnings, and that's what this Conrad and Nick wedding represents. And further, just for fans who've been watching since the beginning, they've seen this relationship go through the ups and the downs. In the pilot, they weren't even together, but there was a love for one another. So we've seen that whole evolution. So hopefully that payoff now couldn't come at a better time, as we're during these traumatic events of COVID, and then we're post COVID, and we have this new beginning of these two characters' relationship that fans have been following for four seasons now.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs a good love story right now to take their minds off everything. So you have played Conrad, but you've also played other characters. So Carrie on The Good Wife, and of course Logan on Gilmore Girls. So which character do you personally relate to the most out of those three?
I think that you're always most connected to the character you're playing at the moment, just because my headspace is so fully invested in Conrad, and in terms of my preparation and in terms of on set. So everything that he's experiencing in a lot of ways, Matt is experiencing as well. So I'm certainly at least most connected at the moment with Conrad and that character at the particular moment, since he's all in my mind and in my heart right now.
Definitely. So going back to, I'm sure you were quarantining, everything like that, but then the first day you guys were able to finally like see each other again and be reunited. What was that like? Just being able to do what you love again and work.
Yeah, we're grateful that we're able to work. We're grateful that we're able to work, and we need these protocols in place to be able to work. That's what it takes. And in terms of seeing each other, I talked to one crew member who was like, the pandemic, the quarantine has been very difficult for me, and coming here gives me a sense of purpose that I needed. And I'm so happy to be here because I have that purpose. And again, we all feel purposeful in terms of our job is to take these stories, make them believable and authentic, and then present it to the audience and hopefully give them something that is an escape or makes them think or say, oh yeah, I went through that, I felt like that. So that's how we pay it forward. That's our purpose. We're in service of the fans. And that's what we felt. And that specific story with a crew member coming up to me and saying that he needed this for purpose, that's one example of some of the things that we've been experiencing and feeling here as we try to collaborate together and put these episodes out in the middle of a global pandemic.
Definitely. I know I actually have some friends that are nurses, and before I was doing this, they were like so excited about it. And I just know that they're excited to see season 4 just to see how the pandemic plays out, because I know they can relate to it. Um, and I think it kind of helps everyone cope with what's going on when you're like seeing just like it in the Hollywood universe, you know what I mean? Like if your favorite show is dealing with it, it's kind of like you can relate to it a bit.
Yeah, my mom was a nurse, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show. And yes, that's a big piece of it, is seeing something through storytelling that is another access point that's different from watching the news or a documentary or talking to your friends or even your own experiences. That's the power of storytelling, and being able to connect with individuals who I'll never meet your friends who are nurses, but through this, I feel a connection with them, not just because of the character I play on the show that's a doctor, but through the storytelling. Hopefully, there's an access point there that they can see things and experience things that are an escape. And I hope that they feel that. And obviously, with this, I hope that we do justice the best we can to the medical aspects. We're not perfect. We are a television show, and I'm sure sometimes they probably want to throw stuff at the screen, but I hope more often than not, they do feel a release. And they do feel a connection there that they can't get from a friend, a colleague, a news program, or something like that. That's the power of storytelling.
Okay, so switching gears for my Gilmore
Yes.
Girls fans, Removing yourself from Logan. What?
How could I do that?
I
How can
know,
we? I got
I
to
know, it's
interrupt you
hard.
there. How can we remove myself from that? Okay, all right,
Okay, well now you're Conrad, so I guess it's Conrad watching Gilmore Girls now. So,
okay.
are you more Team Jess, Team Dean, or Team Logan? Personally.
You know, man, it's hard to disconnect myself from Logan. I see that character as somebody who Rory is the love of his life. I see that character as somebody who was willing to deny his family's history and work to marry Rory. He proposed to her at the end of the original series. So I see him as somebody who is so passionate, and that's the love of his life. So I would fight for Logan in that way. I have said we did a reunion back in I think it was around 2015, and one thing to note on that was, which was incredible, was that so many of those fans for the first time watched Gilmore Girls on Netflix. So this show has spanned generations and generations. And I think one of the joys of the show is everybody. It's about Rory. It's about Lorelai, and fans are very protective over who they want Rory to be. That's why you have the Team Jess, Team Logan, Team Dean, because they're so protective of Rory. So she's at the heart of this. I know Logan, speaking for him, is very protective of Rory as well.
So, okay. So we're gonna go with Team Logan for that one, probably. So speaking of binge watching, everyone's been binge watching it over quarantine. Somehow they found the time to do it. I don't know how. So do you think there will be another year in the life? Do you think it's over? Will we ever find out who the dad is?
Yeah, I'm a bit, Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino are very, very important to me, in so many ways. That character was my start. I've stayed in touch with them, and it's been beautiful to see how successful they've been in terms of Marvelous Miss Maisel. So those email exchanges I've had with them have been very, very special. I'm a little bit torn on that because I do think, although the ending didn't wrap everything up in a bow, I liked the way it felt full circle for me personally. This is actually taking myself outside of it and looking at it. I liked how it was full circle. It's a mother and daughter relationship, and now the daughter is pregnant, and how is that going to pan out? And I like that in a lot of ways. Fans can fill in the blank for that. They can put their own story on what they would like to see happen. So I'm a little bit torn on doing another one in terms of the fact that I personally like the way that finished up. But if it makes sense to do another one like it did, that reboot felt perfect timing, and the storylines and everything connected. Then if it feels right, then hopefully we can do it and we can get it right again.
And I was watching a Jimmy Fallon interview with you the other day. Could you explain how you found out that the reboot was happening?
Yeah, I found out online that the reboot was happening, and I was doing Good Wife at the time. I was upstairs and I was in my trailer, and I saw it online. I was like, oh wow. And then I come downstairs and everybody was asking me if I was gonna do it. They had seen it as well and were very excited. And I said, I have no idea. I haven't talked to Amy and Dan yet. I just saw it online. So, that's how I found out about that one. And Jimmy Fallon is a big fan. I think he's Team Jess. So with that conversation there, I know there are plenty of Team Jess and Team Dean, and maybe even a few Team Logan fans out there. But I know Jimmy Fallon, at least at that point, was Team Jess.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out together later on that there's going to be another one, and I'll have to interview you again for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, lastly, um, what if you could pick any actor or actress to work with in the future? Who would you pick and why?
Two people jump to my mind right now. One is Sterling K. Brown. Um, I love him. I love him, and I love. I saw a Screen Actors Guild session on diversity, and I just loved what he had to say, his words. And I actually met him over FaceTime briefly, actually just yesterday, and I got a chance to tell him that in person. So I just love his spirit, and I love his work. Another person who I've already worked with, but would love to work with again, is Archie Punjabi from The Good Wife. She's an amazing actress and a good friend. And then lastly, I'd say Henry Winkler is someone who I love personally and professionally. So I hope Henry Winkler, that would be another person I'd love to work with. So I give you three there.
Awesome, thank you. Actually, lastly, one more. What during quarantine, what were your like go-to activities? What would you do to spend your time?
Try to always learn new things. I love that about life, trying to learn new things. So the two things that I have dabbled in was cocktail making with a friend of mine from New York who was a bartender in New York, and then also a friend of mine from LA who's a home enthusiast. And then the other is meditating. So cocktail making and meditating.
What was the best cocktail that you made?
It's a secret cocktail, actually. My friend made up, and it's tequila based, and it's called tequila lime pie, and it tastes like a key lime pie. So that's probably my favorite one. But we made a bunch of cool ones, and it was really nice to learn a new skill in that way, and also again the meditation was valuable in another way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cheers to lots of tequila key lime pies in 2021. Thank you so
Yes,
much for taking the time to talk with me today.
thank you.